How does car insurance actually work? Getting the right auto insurance that fits your budget can be a confusing and stressful process if you don't know what you're looking for. In this video, I'm going to break down the components of auto insurance in a simple and easy to understand way so that you know exactly what to look for when purchasing an auto policy. Now, if you want a free policy review to make sure you are properly insured and to make sure you are getting the best deal on your insurance, then click the link in the description and get in contact with us today. Now, the easy way to look at your car insurance is that 1, there is insurance coverage that the state will require you to have. That's called the state minimum. And 2, there is coverage that the bank will require you to have if you are financing a car. And 3 is insurance that you're not required to have by the state or bank, but is really important to have. So let's break these 3 sections down, starting with state minimum coverage. State minimum coverage is mandatory coverage that you are required to have to legally drive your vehicle. It covers liability of 2 specific things: bodily injury and property damage. This means that the injury and damage associated costs for the other party involved in an accident will be covered up to a certain amount if you are at fault. When talking about liability insurance, you'll see numbers that look like this. That's your liability limit, or the limit of how much you'll be covered for liability. Here's what those numbers represent. The first number means, in this example, that you are covered up to $25,000 for bodily injury per person in the other vehicle. The second number means you are covered up to, in this example, $50,000 for bodily injury for everyone in the other car. And in this example, the last number, $25,000, that's how much you're covered for property damage. Now, it's very important to remember that state minimum coverage does not cover you for your personal injuries or your vehicle damage, only the other parties involved. So this is why it's so important to opt for additional coverage like personal injury protection and uninsured motorist insurance. But we'll get to that in just a moment. First, let's talk about the coverage that banks will require you to have if you're leasing or financing a car, like collision coverage and comprehensive auto coverage. But even if you're not financing a vehicle, this is still very important insurance to have. So collision coverage is basically exactly what it sounds like. It reimburses you for repair costs resulting from a collision with another vehicle or an object. Now, collision coverage will not cover you from things like engine failure, weather damage, falling trees or rocks. For situations like that, you want to make sure you have comprehensive coverage. This will cover you from things like theft, natural disasters, vandalism, fire, falling objects, damage done to your car by animals, civil disturbances like riots. Now, like I said, while these are usually optional, if you're driving a car that's leased or financed by a bank, the bank will always require you to have both collision and comprehensive coverage. But either way, even if it's not a lease, it's still a great idea to have this insurance. Now, depending on where you live, some states will require you to have additional coverage, like personal injury protection or uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. In most cases, having this coverage in place is optional, but it is highly recommended. Talk to any experienced insurance agent and they will tell you time and time again, people regret not having this insurance in place. Now, personal injury protection, also known as no-fault insurance, covers medical bills, legal fees, lost wages, and more when you're in a car accident. And this is regardless of whose fault it is. So say you're in a car accident and you start having a lot of back pain, trouble moving around, and you decide you want to go see a chiropractor. In most cases, personal injury protection will cover that. Now, uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage reimburses you for costs related to an accident caused by an uninsured motorist. Now, you might be surprised to know that 1 in 4 people are driving uninsured in the United States, and that could leave you paying a lot of money. It's still a really good idea to have them in place. So the last 2 things I want to bring up is emergency roadside service and rental reimbursement. Emergency roadside service is really handy if your car breaks down and needs to be towed, you lock your keys in your car, if you have a flat tire and need help changing it, this really comes in handy. Now, keep in mind that if you have something like AAA, they might not always be available, say in the situation of a blizzard or a flash flood where they're in high demand. So having emergency roadside service through your insurer makes it so that help is much more likely to come for you. Now, with rental reimbursement, a lot of people just assume that it's already included in their policy, but that's not always the case. So say your car is totaled and is in the shop being repaired, and you need a rental car to help you get around town. If you don't have a rental reimbursement policy in place, your insurance company can't help you pay for that. So it's also a very smart idea to have rental reimbursement in place. So I hope you found this information helpful in understanding the basics of auto insurance. As always, the best way to answer all your questions and to make sure that you are all covered is to call and talk to an experienced insurance agent. And like I said before, if you want a free policy review to make sure that you are properly covered and getting the best deal on your insurance, then click the link in the description and get in contact with us today. We have the best rates and we will make sure that you are all taken care of. Thanks again for watching.